This week, I completed my ultimate gaming table that transforms, revealing cup holders, hidden dice trays, LED lights, built-in phone chargers, and an automated rising center console. Welcome to part 3 of my build series, where I am creating my dream ultimate gaming table for D&D and other tabletop games. This is the final part of the series, where I have completed all of the final details, including the trim that I'm working on here, as well as the finishing touches that we'll get into later. Here I'm working on the dice tray covers. I went back and forth on design ideas for the dice trays and even considered removing them entirely. I ended up keeping the dice trays on the table and went with this very simple design of having these covers with a pressure point that, when pressed, would reveal the hidden feature.
The internet goes down out here all the time, but everyone mostly works in town. On the weekends, their kids all ride ATVs, always in love, always in love.
I forgot to film this next part, but I used the same material as the dice tray covers on the sides, not providing any structural support, just purely for looks. This blue pipe that's inside the table is to channel the wire for the LED lights on the center console below the mechanism that's causing the console to rise and fall. This is to keep the wire safe from getting pinched.
Always in love, never not in love. I was trying not to think. The sky was tangerine and pink. Still my eyes wanted more. What's behind the bolted door? What's behind?
For the finish on this table, I used tung oil, which is a simple wood oil you can find at your hardware store. But I went with this decision because I tried a couple different stains and conditioners and ultimately found that the tung oil looked the best. It also provides the added benefit of protecting the surface in the long term. So I went over the table a few times with the tung oil to let it soak deep into the wood grain, and I thought it gave a really nice glossy finish to the entire table. As a final step, I worked on finishing the dice trays, and for this I'm using a velvet fabric that I picked up from my local craft store. I cut out the fabric into the basic shape and glued it into the dice trays, let that dry overnight, and then came back the next day with a razor blade to cut off the loose edges and clean up the corners. If I were to do this again, I don't think I would have gone with the fabric, but instead used flocking. If you haven't heard of flocking before, it's basically a powdered form of velvet that can be dusted on top of a glued surface and it dries uniformly. This is what often goes inside of jewelry boxes or the sort. So I think that would have looked nicer on the dice trays, but I do think one advantage the fabric has is that it will likely last longer with the repeated dice rolling. So it's a trade-off, but maybe something to consider in the future. And that wraps up the table. It's been a lot of work, but I'm stoked with the outcome and I'm so excited to use this. Let me know in the comments what you think, and please share any design ideas or improvements. I would love to hear them. Also, please consider liking and subscribing if you like this kind of content. And without further ado, I'll reveal the table in 3, 2, 1.